Part 2, Chapter 1. For 2 days, Raskolnikov stayed in his room. He was sick with fever. His landlady sent Nastasia, the servant, to check on him. He didn't eat. He didn't talk. He didn't know if it was day or night. He had strange dreams. In one, the old woman stood beside his bed. She didn't move, didn't speak. Just stared at him. In another, he walked through the city, but no one could see him. He was invisible. On the 3rd day, he finally opened his eyes and sat up. His clothes were wet with sweat. He looked around his messy room and felt lost. "What have I done?" he whispered. But the words gave him no answer. Nastasia brought him some soup. "Eat," she said gently. "You've been out for days." Raskolnikov took the bowl. His hands were weak. He sipped slowly. "Has anyone come?" he asked. "A few people," she said. "But I told them you were ill." Raskolnikov lay back down. A strange calm came over him. Maybe it wasn't real, he thought. Maybe it was a dream. But deep down, he knew the truth. He remembered everything. Every step. Every sound. Every drop of blood. Later that day, a visitor came, Razumikin, Raskolnikov's close friend. He was cheerful, loud, and full of energy, the opposite of Raskolnikov. "You look terrible," he said. "What's wrong with you?" Raskolnikov forced a smile. "Just sick. That's all." Razumikin sat down beside him. "Don't worry, I'll take care of you. I brought some medicine and bread." He spoke with kindness, not knowing the storm inside his friend's mind. Part 2, Chapter 2. The next morning, Raskolnikov felt a little stronger. He got out of bed and walked slowly around the room. His body was weak, but his mind was active. He couldn't stop thinking about the murder. "It happened," he told himself. "I killed her. I killed Lizaveta too." But even as he said the words, they felt unreal, like part of someone else's life. Suddenly, he felt a wave of fear. What if the police were watching him? What if someone had seen him that night? He rushed to the door and listened in the hallway. Nothing. Silence. He sat down, breathing hard. "I must stay calm," he whispered. "No one knows. There's no proof." Still, doubt crept into his heart like a slow, cold wind. A knock at the door made him jump. It was Razumikin again. This time, he brought a visitor, Zosimov, a young doctor. The doctor checked Raskolnikov's pulse and looked into his eyes. "You're recovering," Zosimov said. "But you need food, rest, and fresh air. And stop thinking so much." Raskolnikov gave a weak smile. "That's hard." Razumikin tried to cheer him up. He talked about books, old university friends, and funny stories. Raskolnikov listened, but his thoughts were far away. He couldn't laugh. His guilt was too deep. As they talked, a strange thing happened. Raskolnikov suddenly laughed, not at the joke, but at something inside himself. He felt like he was wearing a mask, and everyone else was blind. "They don't know," he thought. "They're sitting here, drinking tea, and I'm a murderer. But they smile. They talk like nothing has happened." When Razumikin and Zosimov left, Raskolnikov lay back down. His head ached. His heart felt tired. "How long can I pretend?" he whispered. "How long before the truth comes out?" Part 2, Chapter 3. Raskolnikov woke up late the next morning. The sunlight hurt his eyes. He sat on the edge of the bed, confused. For a few moments, he forgot everything: the crime, the fear, the shame. Then it all came back to him. The murder. The blood. Lizaveta's shocked face. He closed his eyes, but he couldn't escape the memories. They were part of him now. He tried to distract himself. He washed his face, changed his shirt, and stepped outside for a walk. The city was noisy and full of life. People talked, laughed, carried baskets of food. But Raskolnikov felt out of place, like a shadow walking among the living. He saw a policeman nearby and quickly turned down a side street. Even seeing a uniform made his heart race. He walked for hours with no direction. At one point, he found himself standing in front of the police station. His feet had brought him there without thinking. He turned around quickly and left. Back at his room, he found Razumikin waiting. His friend smiled and said, "You need fresh air? Or were you running from something?" Raskolnikov forced a laugh. "Just walking." Razumikin looked closely at him. "You're pale again. Maybe I should stay the night here. Just in case." Raskolnikov didn't argue. He was too tired to pretend. The two friends sat in silence for a while. Then Razumikin said, "By the way, there's talk about the murder. The pawnbroker and her sister. People are scared. The police are investigating." Raskolnikov stiffened. "Any suspects?" "Not really," said Razumikin. "They say it was someone poor. Someone who hated the old woman. But there's no real lead." That night, Raskolnikov had strange dreams again. He dreamed of blood on his hands, people pointing at him, and voices saying, "We know." He woke up in the dark, sweating. His guilt was alive inside him. Part 2, Chapter 4. The next day, Razumikin invited Raskolnikov to come with him to a publishing office. A man named Porfiry Petrovich worked there. He was a police investigator, and also their old university friend. Porfiry welcomed them with a warm smile. He was short, round, and clever-looking. His eyes were sharp, and he watched people closely, like he could see inside their minds. "Raskolnikov," he said, "it's been a long time. I hear you've been unwell." Raskolnikov nodded and forced a smile. "Getting better, slowly." They talked about books and law for a while. Then Porfiry changed the subject. "By the way," he said, "didn't you once pawn something to the old woman who was murdered?" Raskolnikov's heart skipped a beat. But he stayed calm. "Yes," he said. "A silver ring." "Why?" "Oh, just asking," said Porfiry with a smile. "We're talking to everyone who knew her." Porfiry didn't push. He asked a few more questions, but they seemed casual. Still, Raskolnikov felt watched, like every word he said was being measured. "You must think carefully," said Porfiry at one point. "The mind can play tricks after such events. People act strangely when frightened." Raskolnikov looked at him sharply. Was that a message? A warning? When they left, Raskolnikov felt exhausted. "He knows," he whispered to himself. "Or he suspects. He's playing with me." Razumikin, however, didn't notice anything strange. "Porfiry's clever, but harmless," he said. "You're just tired." But Raskolnikov wasn't sure. He felt like a mouse in a trap, and Porfiry was the cat. Part 2, Chapter 5. After leaving Porfiry's office, Raskolnikov walked in silence. His thoughts were loud, but his face was quiet. Razumikin walked beside him, talking cheerfully, but Raskolnikov didn't really listen. His heart beat fast. Every word Porfiry had said ran through his mind again. Did Porfiry know something? Or was he just testing him? Was this a game? They reached Raskolnikov's room. Razumikin helped him lie down. "Try to rest," he said. "You're still weak." But Raskolnikov didn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling, lost in thought. A little while later, someone knocked on the door. It was Nastasia, the servant. "Your mother and sister are here," she said. Raskolnikov sat up suddenly. What? He hadn't expected them so soon. He wasn't ready. His clothes were dirty. His mind was full of fear and guilt. How could he face them? But there they were, his mother Pulcheria Alexandrovna, and his sister Dunya. His mother had tears in her eyes. Dunya looked calm and strong. "Rodion," his mother cried. "You look so pale, so thin." He hugged her, but something felt strange. He felt distant, like he was no longer the same son. Dunya sat beside him and held his hand. "We're here now. We'll take care of you." Raskolnikov said nothing. He looked down, ashamed. They talked for a while, telling him about their journey and their small hotel room. But Raskolnikov barely listened. He kept thinking, they don't know. They're smiling. And I'm a murderer. Suddenly, he stood up. "I need air," he said. "Rodion, wait," his mother called. But he had already walked out into the street, leaving their voices behind. He walked fast, not knowing where he was going. His thoughts were wild. "I can't do this. I can't pretend. But I can't confess either. What's left for me?" Part 2, Chapter 6. Raskolnikov walked for hours through the streets. He passed shops, churches and crowds, but he saw none of it. His mind was far away, locked in its own prison. He thought of his mother and sister, their faces full of love and hope. And he thought of the old woman and her sister, full of fear and blood. The contrast tore at his soul. Suddenly, he realized he was near the river. He leaned over the edge and stared into the water. The current moved slowly. "What if I just disappeared?" he thought. But he didn't jump. Something deep inside him, maybe pride, maybe fear, held him back. He turned away from the river and walked on. Later, he found himself near a bridge. There, he saw a young woman sitting on a bench, crying. Her clothes were poor, and her eyes empty. A man stood nearby, watching her. Raskolnikov guessed what was happening. The girl was drunk, vulnerable. The man was waiting for a chance to take advantage of her. Suddenly filled with rage, Raskolnikov shouted at the man, "Leave her alone." The man cursed and walked away. Raskolnikov sat beside the girl, trying to wake her. A police officer walked by and asked what was going on. Raskolnikov explained. The officer looked at him strangely, but nodded and walked on. Moments later, Raskolnikov left the girl sleeping on the bench and walked away. He felt angry, not just at the man, but at the whole world. At the cruelty, the filth, the injustice. He walked back home slowly. When he arrived, Razumikin was there, waiting nervously. "Where have you been?" he asked. "Your mother and Dunya are worried sick." Raskolnikov didn't answer. He collapsed on the bed, exhausted. His head ached. The weight of everything, the murder, the lies, the guilt, pressed down on him like a mountain. He whispered, "It's all too much." Then closed his eyes. Sleep finally came, dark, dreamless, heavy. Part 2, Chapter 7. When Raskolnikov woke up, the room was quiet. The air was heavy. He sat up slowly and saw his mother and Dunya sitting nearby. They had been waiting. "Rodion dear," his mother said softly, "you scared us. You looked so sick earlier." Raskolnikov nodded slowly. "I'm sorry." Dunya took his hand. "You don't have to hide from us. We're your family." But Raskolnikov pulled his hand away. "No, you don't understand." His mother looked worried. "Then help us understand. Tell us what's wrong." But he shook his head. "Not now." There was a long silence. Then Razumikin walked in with a tray of tea and bread. He tried to lighten the mood with jokes and stories, and little by little, the tension faded. They sat together and talked for a while. Razumikin spoke kindly, and Raskolnikov listened quietly, Dunya smiled. Even Raskolnikov's mother looked a little happier. Razumikin offered to help them find a new place to stay. "You can't stay at that old hotel," he said. "I know a landlady nearby, clean, safe, and quiet." They agreed. Raskolnikov didn't say much, but he didn't object either. A strange peace settled in the room, fragile but real. As the sun set, Raskolnikov stood by the window. He watched the sky turn red. His face was calm, but inside, the storm still raged. He whispered to himself, "They love me, and I'm lying to them." But he said nothing more.